after Donald Trump announced that he was going to be retreating as fast as he's physically possible from his massive trade war, Republicans pretended that this was the plan all along. Speaker Mike Johnson says, "Behold the art of the deal." God damn you, cuck. Behold. Behold, Mike, you don't even like him, Mike Johnson. Behold the art of the deal, you sniffling, cowering little coward. But anyway, President Trump has created leverage, brought many countries to the table, and will deliver for American workers, American manufacturers, and America's future. You don't believe that at all. By the way, we're still gonna get the added prices of the tariffs. Because remember, I told everyone, when he dials back the tariffs from these apocalyptic levels, it ain't gonna go to zero. It's only gonna be the super high levels that seemed crazy initially. And he still has brought us up to the blanket 10% and significantly higher in other. When we were doing those breakdowns of how cars are gonna cost more, every bit of that is still true, by the way, every bit of that. And so, and by the way, when we get to China, dear God, are people gonna be paying a lot more for a lot of these things? And American manufacturers are still not gonna be able to sell nearly as much in the world market, in particular to China, also to Canada and to Mexico. And Speaker Mike Johnson is smart enough to know that, so he's just lying right there. And what leverage? Again, he's given away the sort of, look, I don't think that saying I'll jack up your tariffs to 40%, I don't think that's a great threat because everybody pretty much knows how that was gonna go, and indeed that's the way it went. But at least at one point it was hypothetical. Now we know that Donald Trump won't sustain it, that after less than a week, he's gonna back off. He hasn't gained leverage. He's given up the hypothetical, like wild card leverage that he might have had. And again, Speaker Mike Johnson should be smart enough to know that. This is not about being, this is about sucking up. Cat Turd says Trump played them like a fiddle. It's Cat Turd though, so I don't even think he's lying there. I think he's stupid enough to actually believe that. He believes that this was the plan. By the way, I have no doubt that Cat Turd, like 2 days ago, when the rumor came out that he was about to announce a 90-day pause, and we reported on that, and Carolyn Leavitt comes out and says, "That's fake news, you're all liars, that's why you're discredited. He would never pause for 90 days. And then he did, and she's like, "That's just the art of the deal with it." I guarantee he was defending Carolyn Leavitt there, being like, "These damn liars in the New York Times with their anonymous sources." Once again, it was proven true. Stephen Miller says it was a master strategy, bold statesmanship, and brilliant tactical planning. It was flailing. It was wild contortions and economic gyrations driven by fear of the worldwide collapse of financial markets. That's all it was. That's literally all it was. And by the way, and I wanna make clear of how, like, they look stupid when they post those things because everybody knows, including them, that it wasn't a big plan. It was a massive retreat because of fear, but that's fine. And then the stock market went up, right? I mean, again, not to where he'd brought it down. We're still in the hole, so that kind of sucks. But they get to be like, "Hey, look, he made it go up by 9.5%. Yeah? How's today looking, by the way, on that? Because the S&P 500 again went down like 4%. NASDAQ 100 slumped 4.5%. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he didn't bring back all of the tariffs. And I'm not just talking about like the blanket 10% tariffs on everyone, stuff like 25% on the cars or whatever. He announced that the tariffs on China are at, and can we bring up graphic 10? Do we have graphic 10? Because if I just say it, you're not gonna believe me. 145%. I don't even see how that's possible. By the way, again, I'm not an expert on the economy. It's the one thing that I have in common with Trump, but what is the point of making it 145%? When it passes 50, when it passes 100, we're not buying the stuff anymore. Make it 145, make it 600. Make it 1 bojillion percent. It doesn't matter. Trade is done. And they're gonna hit us with the same level. They're not gonna be buying anything from us. You think I'm gonna be buying my designer board games from China or whatever for $500? Apple announced that iPhone prices could pass like $2,400 thanks to this. And those are still there, by the way. Those are there, and the overall tariffs worldwide are still there at a slightly lower level, but still there. That's why the stock market is once again crashing. We had like 12 hours of, hey, maybe things won't be chaotic. Nope, still chaotic, still crazy. And so this is all clear, indisputable, except on Fox News where they're gonna have to try to dispute it. Let's jump now to a little bit of Fox News defending the indefensible.
Country with a peso rather than a dollar as its currency.
Whoops. Well, I guess that peso went muy arriba today. Well, 5 minutes later, he should have demanded to come back on camera to eat crow. The market had rebounded by then, 2,200 points, is up way more, because Trump announced a brilliant move to pause the higher tariffs on countries negotiating with us, but meanwhile, to raise China's tariffs to 125%. So wall off China by boxing them out, further weakening their economic power. It's genius.
I'm just loving the reaction of stupid people. All of these people that have been trying to create in other people's minds that Donald Trump does not know what he's doing. He's going to create a world economic crash. And Donald Trump, it's like whiplash. What are they going to say tomorrow? Oh, he was forced to do this. No. As a matter of fact, the Treasury Secretary Bessent just confirmed what I had pretty much understood because I know the guy so well. This was the plan all along.
Again, every single one of these Fox personalities was saying that he's never going to waver. He's going to do it. Don't trust the anonymous reports that he's going to do the pause. And he shouldn't pause them because that's strength. Then he pauses them. Oh, everybody's eating crow. Brilliant move. Brilliant move to do the massive tariffs. Then brilliant move to pause the massive tariffs simultaneously. Both of them are brilliant moves, even though, again, we haven't gotten anything. Like, we have the idea that we're going to negotiate trade deals with 75 countries. What'll that take? 5 years? And maybe at the end of that, we get something out of it? We haven't gotten anything. We haven't gotten literally anything. And our accounts are still down. I mean, as of when they were saying that, things have gotten worse since then. And Laura Ingraham says, the thing that's particularly brilliant about it is that we have isolated China. Why? Because we put big tariffs on them, but they've put big tariffs on us. So have they not isolated us? Again, we need like the Chinese exports and all that more than they need ours. It's a bigger portion of what we get than we are of what they get. So if this is about isolation, we're more isolated. We're literally more isolated. And we still have the higher tariffs around the world. And so they're just lying. They're just lying about this and hoping, okay, because remember, they're lying, but they're happy. They're happy because they didn't want the tariff. Well, maybe they wanted the tariffs. They didn't want the economic damage. They could see what was happening to their bank accounts, and they see it yesterday creeping back up a little bit, not nearly enough, not nearly fast enough, but it's starting to, and so they're feeling happy. And then things slump again today. So I don't know, I'm not eating crow. Listening to the chat, I'm probably eating Pop-Tarts, but it definitely ain't crow flavored Pop-Tarts. You guys should be downing on that crow. So anyway, and again, brilliant move, brilliant tactician. Okay, well, let's hear Trump tell it, okay? If that was the plan all along and nothing changed because it was written in stone, let's hear him tell it that way.
Can you walk us through your thinking about why you decided to put a 90-day pause?
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid. Yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I think everything had, well, the big move wasn't what I did today. The big move was what I did on Liberation Day.
For the past few days, we've heard from this administration, no pause. Was this idea of doing a pause, did that just come about this morning? Can you tell us exactly what came into consideration for you and your advisors?
For a period of time, I wouldn't say this morning. Over the last few days, I've been thinking about it. I've been dealing with Scott, with Howard, with some other people that are very professional. And I think it probably came together early this morning, fairly early this morning. Just wrote it up. We didn't have the use of, we didn't have access to lawyers, or we just wrote it up from our hearts, right? It was written from the heart.
Dear God, this guy needs a nice, quiet apartment, some people to take care of him, and that's it. No responsibility even over his own life, his own fate, let alone worldwide economic markets. She asks him, did you guys just come up with this morning? He's like, well, first of all, he does that weird, a period of time, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this morning, we just came up with it this morning. How's that crow, Laura Ingraham? Is your belly filled to bursting with bird at this point because it was not a brilliant move. And by the way, two different sort of explanations. One was we wrote it from the heart. What the hell is that even supposed to mean? But he says everyone's getting yippee. What does that mean? He means that they're getting scared. Worldwide economic markets are getting scared. Business leaders are getting scared. People around him, his advisors, his supporters are getting scared, and he's affected by that. What's the emotion you feel when you see people being scared and that makes you rapidly change course? Could we call that fear, perhaps? It was an emotional thing, and it should be. He should be scared. I'm not even faulting that necessarily. I'm just trying to get everybody to be a little bit honest about what actually happened. And in his extended remarks there, he says he was like trying to be like, there's a beautiful bond market. So that's obviously BS. The literally only reason he'd be mentioning the bond market is for the same reason everyone is this week, which is that it really looks like that's taking a potentially calamitous turn. And they needed to stop this thing before that actually happened. What he says about the bond market is necessarily going to be a lie, but that he brings it up means that that was on his mind. This was not a master stroke. This wasn't a strategy. This wasn't the art of the deal. To hear him tell it, he got the yips, and that morning he just decided, you know what? Let's reverse this thing. Absolute madness. Let's turn to, well, we're not gonna show the video of it, but there was a great moment where I think it was Jamie Raskin was talking with Jameson Greer, the guy ostensibly in charge of US trade or whatever. And he was like live testifying about trade, and he had no idea about any of this. Like, I guess he had seen, like everyone had, the Truth Social post that it was being paused, but he had no input, no influence whatsoever. What a strange government they're running. That said, some Republicans still a little bit frustrated about this entire process. So we're gonna show you Ron Johnson. I want you to bear in mind, this was taken before today's stock market fall.
I still don't know exactly what his total strategy is. We know what his goal was. I mean, to a certain, he wants reciprocity. I'm relieved like the markets are relieved. At some point in time, I think it'll stabilize. And I don't know what the end game is here yet.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does, including Donald Trump, because he's gonna come up with it on a day-to-day basis, but from the heart. Absolute madness.